So when I started my journey to eat better, I actually wanted to gain weight. I wanted to pack some muscle. A few episodes ago, I was telling the story about how I became obsessed with the gym and going to the gym and, working out because I had this desire to, um, look more athletic and um, gain muscle mass. I was always skinny. And then I started, working out and I became basically obsessed. Like I would get very mad if I didn't go one um, day to the gym. Like if I skipped to gym one day, I would get like very mad. Um, but one thing led to another and I started focusing on my nutrition. And as I started learning more and more, I was like very curious about, different types of diets and ways to nurture yourself. So I became like not obsessed, but like eager to, eat better and to find products or foods that were better. And at that point in social media, like the superfoods were like very um popular and everyone was like, oh, you need to eat this or this is a superfood or this food has these benefits or so or and yeah, so it was that time. And I was obsessed with being healthy and trying to, eat as healthy as I could at the moment. And it was fun. I wanted to be like very specific. I wanted to know specifically what was good to eat and what not. And the way to cook certain foods or where to get the foods or the supplements and all of it. And I don't know if it was the best idea though. And ever since I started, learning more and getting my certifications and stuff like that, I noticed that it was a good journey to know all these things, but it wasn't the best thing health wise. And at that moment, I was following a lot of people on a social media, and one of the I came across this girl. I actually love her, but she was eating, and I think she still eats that way. But at that time, she was eating. She was on a raw vegan diet, and I was like, oh, this seems great because I love fruit. I don't love vegetables that much, but I love fruit. And I noticed and smoothies. This is also where when back in that time where when smoothies were a thing, by the way. I want to say this was like around 2013, maybe 2013, 2014, maybe I want to say like from 2012 to 2014, around that time. Um, so I came across this girl. Um, she was on a raw vegan diet and she had this amazing Instagram page. And all of her foods were amazing. All of her pictures were amazing. The smoothies, the fruit bowls, the vegetable bowls. And I was like, and the juicing, like she had like these juicers and all of these things, and she would be famous on YouTube as well. Um, and I was like really digging her, and she had all this information about why you should have been like raw vegan and all the benefits of being raw vegan or eating a raw diet. And I was like, okay, yes, this is what it is. This is for some reason it started. I'm not saying it's not though, but at that time, I'm not a raw vegan by the way, and nothing wrong with that. I'm just from a personal from personal experience, it didn't work for me. Um, but yeah, that's not the point. I was saying that at that time I was like, okay, this is for me. This is what I'm gonna do. And I started like reading all of her posts and all these things and watching videos on YouTube. And I was like, okay, now I'm gonna be a raw vegan. This makes sense. It's only food that it's alive. It's it's natural food. It's perfect for me. Whatever. Or I think I became a little dogmatic on believing that that's the way to eat, like this is the best diet and this is what you need in order to be healthy. And then I was concerned about the protein intake, but I was like, no, no, if you eat enough and if you eat a lot, then you can eat. And then all this information about like, oh no, but because like some animals primarily eat I don't know, grass or whatever, or things that come from um plants, and um but they're I guess quote unquote thriving, or they have muscle of power or whatever. I started because there's this like narrative on the internet, or that because of like some animals thrive on plant-based diets, maybe we should too. I don't know. um I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's what I was reading, and it kind of made sense for me at that time. And I decided to become raw vegan, right? So I was like, okay, this is what it is. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna start eating raw. Okay. So I went to the store and I bought like bananas, mangoes, um, all these things. And I basically started on the next day. So in the morning, I ate this a bunch of like fruit. Then for breakfast, I think I ate a bunch of bananas, like 7 bananas. And then by the evening, I was like, okay, I had like some zucchini and carrots. And I was like, okay, this is not tasty. So I might as well just like stir fry them. And like it was a raw diet, but I was like, never mind, it'll be fine. I started like stir frying these things. I ate that, and it was like, I don't know, I think that was at 8 p.m. or something. It was 9:30 and I was so hungry. And my family had bought pizza. And by the way, during the day, my siblings were like kind of like making fun of me. So it was a nighttime, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna eat pizza. And I ate a pizza after having a day on my first day of being raw vegan. I was so excited about it. I was like, I wanted to do it so bad. And then at the end of the night, I ate pizza. And um, I'm telling this story because I think many people go through this struggle, like when you have all these um moments of motivation where you are like, I'm going to change my life right now. And then you make all this radical changes. And at some point, you call it a day or a week. It depends for different, it differs from deep for different people. But at some point, you just give in and go back to your normal, go back to your habitual stuff. And and I think this is a great example of what I'm going to talk about today. Today, we'll talk about physical health. As you know, we've been talking about all the dimensions of health: our relational health, our existential health, our environmental health, our emotional health, our mental health, and our physical health, which is what we're going to talk about today. All these aspects, or all of these dimensions, are correlated. They're entwined. They are all worked with each other. So if you make a change in one of these things or one of these aspects of health, that's going to impact the rest of the dimensions. So it's like, if you have really good relational health, that's going to have an impact on the majority of the dimensions of health, including, for example, your physical health. And you can go to the second episode and you will learn more information if you haven't listened to that episode already. So yeah, today we'll talk about physical health. So hello everyone, welcome back to the podcast. This is your host Marco. I am a marketer, fitness coach, singer, astrology student, amongst other things, on a journey to discover what it means to be human. I'm on a quest to build a community that helps us believe in ourselves, unleash our inner power, and reclaim our voices through self discovery. So, if you enjoy discussing topics such as fitness, relationships, astrology, and human stories in general, please feel free to subscribe, share, or reach out. Together and through the power of stories and conversation, we can grow stronger as a community. So, physical health. I am very passionate about health. I'm a Virgo, by the way. So I think that's kind of like an archetypical or kind of like a standard feature for Virgos for some reason. Um, but yeah, I love health, and um I thrive in spaces where health is cherished, and good nutrition and movement, and yeah, being healthy is cherished. So when you have physical health, is when your body is thriving, you're energized, you feel good, you feel energy, you feel like you can move, you feel like you're able to do things, um, you're out of pain, and I'm talking about like physical pain, like joint pain or different pains. Your body works well, your metabolism works well, all the processes on your body are working, are functioning, like you're functional in the aspects of the physical health, in your digestion, the way you move, your sleep, all of it. And all of that has or all of that results in having energy and being able to perform and thrive and interact with other people, or you know being able to do the activities that you're required to do on your daily basis, at work, at your house, for your personal stuff, your professional life, um, and for your exercise as well, for moving. And when I was telling the story at the beginning, I I was setting that example because one of the things that are, I guess, detrimental in our physical health is our habits. I know the word habit sounds a little boring. And when I had my little business, um, when I started it for, fitness coaching, I was working with a coach, and she was like, no one wants to hear about, it was a marketing a coach, right? And or consultant. And she was like, no one wants to hear about habits. Crazy thing is, right? There's a there's a there's a book, I think it's called Atomic Habits. And I think it's a really good book and popular book because now people understand you need to work on your habits, but whatever. At that point, she was like, oh, no one wants to hear about habits. Everyone wants to hear about like losing weight. How can I lose weight in the next I was going to say 2 seconds, in the next um 3 weeks, or you would see all these challenges online, and or like get shredded in 30 days or 21 days or whatever. She was like, no one wants to hear about habits. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. And from a marketable or from a marketing perspective, I actually started marketing, so I kind of like understood what she was saying. But also, I think the market is changing, and the people who really are really mindful about their health are now understanding that habits play a huge part in your health, in many aspects of your health, but in your physical health, having routines, having certain behaviors or consistent behavior um, that impact what you want to accomplish, or that have a direct impact on the results you want to have, for example, health wise, is very important. And now people are understanding it because this is the thing. When you try to make changes, and let's say you want to lose some weight, and then you start making these radical changes, which again, it was the example I was telling at the beginning, the story I was telling at the beginning. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be raw vegan right now, like starting tomorrow. When I was eating, I had a huge history of eating a different way. I had traditions. I lived with family. All of these things have an impact in my decisions and the way I behave on a single, on an everyday basis. And then I was like, I was being radical about being, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna be raw vegan, and that's a problem with the many people who are like, oh, I'm very motivated. I want to make these radical changes because I'm fed up with my actual situation, whatever it is for you. Um, and then people start trying to change everything at once. And the thing is that when you do that, you get like fatigue. Making decisions is tiring. And then if you have so many things going on, and saying I'm not trying to justify the things that you don't do, um, or coming up with excuses, but it's a thing. Like if you have many things on your plate, and then you want to try to change everything at once, health wise, or for your routines, or going to the gym, or eating healthier, or changing your diet completely, that's gonna backfire. So it's like the research is there. Like you need to have your motivation. You need to want to change. That's like the first thing. Like the desire or the reason for you wanting to change needs to be there. Like you need to know it. There needs to be like this, I guess, intrinsic motivation. There could be like things from the outside that make you or inspire you um, to want to change. But there needs to be this desire and this decision to want to change. But after you have that, you need to take little steps and start helping yourself with little action, um, to start changing your habits. And those habits, the things that we do every day on a consistent basis, is what brings the majority of the results that we have in life, in every aspect of our lives. Like every time when you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, let's say, or whatever routine is. Like some people meditate, and some people just go on their phone, or whatever they do. Whatever you do, like what you do on a daily basis, makes up for the majority of the results we have in life. I'm not saying like you should do a certain thing in the morning, and some, like if you meditate in the morning, it's going to be better. It might be for some people, not for everyone, but still you can get results, um, just if you're conscious about the things that you're doing, and changing the things that you need to change, and um, maybe acquiring new habits and new behaviors that will lead you to the results you want. And in our physical health, because eating is something that we do every day, sleeping obviously is something that we do every day if we're fortunate enough. um, Having your hygiene, um, exercise, movement, all these things that we have to do every day are completely correlated, or are completely attached to our physical health. So this is where we have to be very intentional in which behaviors we engage in that are creating more or less health or energy, or mm, function to our physical health, to the way that we feel, to the way that we perform. Um, so in terms of physical health, sleep is very important. You need to sleep. When you sleep, you make better decisions. Like you get rest, you process everything from your day. It's like your body kind of like resets, you recover. That's when if you're, well, the idea is that your parasympathetic nervous system is active, and then you're able to rest and process your experiences, everything like your body went through, through the day, and then it's kind of like a reset. It helps with your hormones. It's like sleep is the regulator of our body. So sleeping is very important. In order to sleep, like sometimes people feel like, oh, sleep is at night. No, sleep is a 24-hour cycle. It's like what you do in the morning. Have um if you have light, if you have sun exposure in the morning in your eyes, and that's going to impact the way you're going to sleep. If you move a lot, if you don't, the way you eat, the times where you eat, if you eat before bed or not, that's going to impact the way you sleep. So there's all these little behaviors that contribute um to you having a good or um a not so good um, night's sleep. Also, movement. Um, are you always only in your car? Do you work a sitting job? Are you always sitting? You don't do any movement. That's also gonna impact your health. So, for example, if you are new to the gym, or if you want to start getting some exercise, um, you can maybe take a walk every morning. It doesn't have to be something so different from what you're doing in the moment. Of course, knowing your plan for the future, knowing what you want to accomplish, and then escalating the things that you have to do in order to get there, and then start by little, and then you'll increase on those things. And I think that's a great way in order to reach the goals you need. Also with food, are you eating slowly? What's your default? It's like you need to be able to first and that's one of the first exercises, for example, what they do in precision nutrition when they do nutrition coaching or habit coaching or behavior change coaching, is like they first ask you to make time, but also to be aware of the things that you do currently, that the things that you're doing right now, the way you eat. Do you eat fast? Do you eat slow? How many times a day you eat? What are you thinking when you eat? There's so many little things and details that we do every day without noticing that actually have the greatest impacts in our health. Of course, there are some nuances here, and there are some specific cases and conditions, or like if you have any certain uh, um, mm, health concern or something that is very specific. But in general, all of the things that we do daily, again, impact um, in a greater way our results and our physical health. So, as I was saying, um, the where you are, for example, when we talked about the environment, it's like if you have access to a gym or to a local store that sells really nice food, that's going to impact the way you eat. So it's like everything that is around you and the way you make your decisions is detrimental to your physical health. So um, if you notice what you're doing on a consistent basis, and then you first make the decision and what you want to change first that feels convenient, because that's key. You need it to, um, you need that action to be convenient, because the majority of the things that we do, and I know we have to be intentional about things, but the way to change those things is like you have to make it kind of like convenient in a smart way. And then if you're intentional about it, and then like this is the action I'm going to make every day, or at least 90 or 80% of the time, okay, and then you're going to set yourself up for success. That order that we have, we usually it's sometimes we don't even know our own routines or our own order, but if we go back in it, it's like, oh, this makes sense. We have This is an order that I know. And this is the perfect segue to talk about the astrology energy or axis or the archetypes that we're going to talk about today, that we're going to correlate or associate with our physical health, and is Virgo and Pisces. In astrology, we see Virgo as our body, our physical health, our routines, what we do every day. So people say like your job, what you do on a daily basis, your workers, or the people who are around you in habitual basis, right? Um, and then the opposite of the order, which is a chaos, which is Pisces. Um, so yeah, I was talking about order. That's the thing about Virgo is when when people are like for the when again there's a Virgo energy and it's different to be a Virgo person. When people talk about Virgos, like, oh, I'm a Virgo, that what they're referring nowadays to the sun sign. So where your sun is in your chart, we usually know it nowadays because it's for example, September. I'm from September. I'm a Virgo. Usually the sun is in Virgo during September. It's like the sixth part of the ecliptic of the Earth around the sun. I think I'm explaining that correctly. If I don't, excuse me. If I didn't, excuse me. Pardon me. But that part, like where the sun was when you were born, is technically your sun sign. For example, I was born in September. I'm a Virgo. Some people who are born in December might be Sagittarius or Capricorn. It depends. So when people talk about your sign, they talk about your sun sign. I think in um many, many, many years ago, people went by their rising sign. Um, and I would love for you to guess my rising sign. If you're listening to this, you want to comment or just like reach out and make your guess. That'd be fun. But yeah, I'm a Virgo. Um, so talking about the Virgo energy, Virgo is an earth sign. It's an earth sign, is ruled by Mercury, and is that sign that rules health and the balance of your as an individual with your environment, that balance of that health, that again is having a nice balance in the things that you do. And in order to have that balance, it's kind of like you have to kind of like know the order in an individual perspective of the things that you do. Is like knowing the order to your life. When you have order, you're able to predict as well. Um, and you're able to make better decisions. Like your body, your nervous system, everything feels safer and everything feels good and smooth, right? So I was saying a little while ago about how when people say like, oh, he's a Virgo, he's organized or whatever, I'm actually talking about the energy, about the archetype, not necessarily the Virgo person, okay? So it's like that energy of having an order that and organizing things so that things work your way and in a way that things serve you. When they talk about Virgo, they talk about the sign of service. Um, but that service of being of of choosing things that serve you and also other people. And when you find that order, um, that thing that serves you and your environment and the things around you is like when you find that balance and you turn and then you go into Libra, but which we talked um in our second episode. Um so it's like an earth, again, it's an earth sign. Everything that is earth, that has a earth element, is things that are grounding, um things that have structure, things that you can touch, things are materials, things that you can see, you know? And the opposite of that is Pisces. It's chaos. So in that chaos, the problem is not the problem. It's the opposite in the sense of Pisces, or the energy there is an energy, um, it's actually an order that you don't know. So it's kind of like something that you can't control. With the Virgo energy, or with your routines, is like somehow you can control those things. You can control what you do, what you choose to believe, or what you choose to do with the experiences you have to some extent. And the opposite is it's a water sign, Pisces, or the opposite end of the axis. We have Pisces, which is a water sign, is ruled by Neptune. It's all about things are potential, but things that you don't necessarily know. It's a more intuitive, or more into it's a more emotional aspect of the axis. It's like the instead of being structured and things that you know for sure, that you can tell, that you can see, it's the opposite. It's a little more dark. It's things that you don't necessarily know, but you can feel. Is more into your feelings. So the idea is that sometimes that order, and that's when um change and being too drastic with things comes into place too. It's like Virgo understand that that order can also change. And when there's change, there's chaos, because it's something new, it's something you don't know, probably. You know that there's going to be things that are different. And if you open yourself and you trust, which is, if you trust in the process, which is also an energy of Pisces, is okay, you allow room for that chaos, and then you order everything again. So it's like it's a cycle of understanding and knowing your order, allowing the room for chaos and for the things to readjust. So it's like a it's a flow in that dance of mm, order and chaos, the things you know and the things you might not know. um it's allowing room for magic, for things that again are potential and that might surprise you. This is a thing. Sometimes we go into this opposite, or into these extremes of being super controlling and then being too uncomfortable, and going all the way to the opposite and using it as an escape and letting chaos go. So, for example, let's say this is like a very everyday, um, everyday life example. So, let's say you are during the week, you are eating perfectly. You go like, I ate two eggs in the morning, two egg whites in the morning with this toast, and half an avocado. And then at noon, I ate this salad with chicken. And then I had a coffee at some point after lunch, and my 2 or 3 liters of water. And for dinner, I had salmon with asparagus, and that's that. Okay, perfect. That was Monday. I repeat that every day. I went to the gym. Everything was perfectly. I was craving something or a little dessert, but I didn't have it because I want to be like super on point. I went to bed at the right time. Everything was perfect this week. Then the weekend comes and you completely let go. You go for a drink. You eat dessert. You eat completely different than what you were eating during the day, during the week. You don't go to the gym. You just go party or whatever you did. I'm not saying there's no judgment on this. This is just a description. So this is where you can see where you go to different extremes. Like you have a huge structure and a very by the book structure during the week. And then during the weekend, you go to the complete opposite. No structure whatsoever, no intention whatsoever, no controlling whatsoever. I'm just gonna do whatever happens. I'm just gonna indulge in all these behaviors that are completely opposite to what I was doing. So it's like kind of like, I don't know if it's some subconscious things, but that thing that we do, anybody like sabotaging yourself or whatever it is, you can call it whatever. But there's this, you can see that energy of controlling and then doing the complete opposite, like trying to escape from something that didn't feel good at the beginning. So there's this line in understanding that things need to be intentional, and some things that might cause discomfort, but but remember last episode we were talking about like the future, how if the future, if you allow room for the future and you like your future or the things that you might actually get, and also sometimes the future can surprise you with things that are better than what you wanted. But hold that idea. So if you trust in the future, then your present makes more sense. That's what I was saying the other day. It's like you're more intentional about your present. But you need to be realistic, or we need to be realistic at the same time. For example, for some aspects in my life, I need to be more realistic. And it's like, okay, this is the future I want. Now, what things can I change right now that might cause discomfort, but I still kind of like enjoy? The discomfort is in the different, in the doing something different, but you might as well enjoy that new thing that you're doing. So if you find the things that you enjoy, you're intentional about it, then the present makes more sense in, being actually consistent with the things that you're choosing, so that you get that future result. um so that's what I was saying about, okay, that order needs to serve you. That action needs to serve you for the future, but also for your present, also for you need to enjoy it. And for example, this is the Virgo, it's an earth sign, right? The earth sign that comes before Virgo is Taurus. Taurus is about enjoying what you do, what you feel through your senses, through your experience, through your taste, what you look, what you feel, what you hear, um, what you speak. And that, and trusting the process again, and and attaching those actions to your values, Venus, that um evolves into the energy of Virgo, where there's an order that that serves you, and that serves you for the future, and that has a nice balance in allowing change, in allowing the things that you don't know yet, and allowing things to be messy sometimes. And I also want to say something here. You can have an order. I mean, for example, this is the thing. Virgo, people are like maybe very organized. Some Virgos, which I am, I might not be very organized at all. Like you can maybe, if I open my closet behind, it might not be organized at all. But I know the order. It's an order for me. And I want to, maybe that's just like an excuse. It's romanticization of my disorder. But either way, I know my order, and it doesn't have to be like a certain structure either way, by the way, but it's an order I know. So what's your order? What's the order? What suits you for your life, what serves you and for the people around you. I love the energy of Virgo, by the way. And because it's like, it's it's that energy of acts of service for people and for you, because I think that serves everyone. When you do something good for someone else, it goes back to you. And also when you do something good for yourself, it goes back to other people, because the better you are, it also, the better you show up at relationships. I loved this episode. Actually, I wasn't sure about this episode, and if I was gonna deliver, but I don't know. I think I did. I wanna believe that. So yeah, um, this is everything I have for you for today. Now on the next episodes, today we're finishing a 7 episode cycle that I suggest, if you haven't seen all or listened to all of the episodes, I suggest you go please and see them, because it's a really good um basis, or it's a really good um fundamental introduction to what we're going to talk about in the future. Now we're going to get more specific on the archetypes, and and the things that um contribute contribute to our health, not only our physical health, but I don't have to repeat myself, all aspects of health. We're going to talk about action. We're going to talk about self-worth. We're going to talk about, values, about decisions. We're going to talk about our emotions, our mental health. We're going to talk about relationships, about processes that need to change, our talents, our ability to see the good in ourselves and in people. We're going to talk about community. We're going to talk about magic. We're going to talk about alchemy. We're going to talk about all of it and be very specific and get deeper and deeper as we go into the podcast. So I hope this excites you as much as it excites me, and I'll see you next time. Be blessed.